Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Bill Graham coming to you from Model Railroad Live on Who's Big Bill Talking To tonight. It is Wednesday evening, July 21st, 2021. I hope everyone is having a great evening. And just let me see who's in the room in the chat box here so we can say hello to the Train Freak is here. Hello. Train Freak, Jordan of Dwight of not Okay, let me start again. Hey, welcome to MRL Model Railroading Live, the number one model railroading show in the universe, if not the world. I want to thank you for joining in to Who's Big Bill Talking To tonight on July 21st, 2021. So we do a do-over. Welcome to Train Freak is in the house. Dwight at Northern Star. Hi, Bill. Dwight says that he's finally going to a train show this weekend. Well, that's good. That's good. Things are starting to open up here. And in New York as well. So that's good. And I hope that's working for everybody around the country and around the world. And Dwight at Northern Star further says, hey, nice tour of the Upper West Side by Heath. I must have missed that one. But that's good. Lynn McCurdy's in the house. Greetings from California Desert. John Arthur. Hi, Big Bill, and everyone in the chat. Frank DeLauro. Frankie D is in the house. It's going to be a good one. Good thing. John Pacheco, Johnny B. I'm calling you Johnny B from now on, John. I can't do the last name. I'm sorry, buddy. Hi, Bill. Hi, everyone. Rick, howdy from Alabama, everybody. Hope all is well. Pastor Michael Nicodemus. Hey, Bill and M&M Model Railroads here. Hey, long time no hear, brother. How are you and your lovely wife? Lynn McCurdy, been waiting for weeks to see this show. Rail Artist is here for what it's worth. It is worth a lot, brother. It is worth a lot. CV Railroad and HO Scale is in the house, just popped in. So, and I'm sure more people are going to be coming in as we get on. Tonight, we do have a special guest on the show, and I'll introduce her in a moment. I did say her in a moment. And, but before I do that, I just want to give you guys a heads up that, and I know I said this before in the last show, but we do right now, June, July, and August. It's kind of scarce for us. John of Johnny's Train Talk shows has taken off June, July, and August simply because he needs a break and he wants to do some fishing and just relax. And we're all entitled to a little rest and wee-waxation, as Bugs Bunny used to say. So he'll be doing that. He'll be coming back in September with Johnny's Train Talk show. Whole new format, whole new look, whole new everything. John is not only taking a vacation, but he's making some mighty changes, to which we're really glad to hear. And he'll be doing that. And Railroad Empire, how we build them, the fearsome foursome are putting their heads together and are really starting to come together. All three cylinders, there's four of them, right? So all four cylinders are cooking with those guys. Robert, Tim, Andy, and Ari, and all those guys are really cooking to bring a show in September. All shows on Model Railroading Live are 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And who else? John Arthur, Jason, long time, Pastor Michael Nicodemus. Yeah, who am I missing? Thomas Decker, looking forward to the show. Thomas, welcome. I think you're a first-time viewer, I believe. And so, Train Freak, everybody's saying hello to everybody else. So with that said, and then what was the other thing? Oh, we have this thing that we do now. What is that called? We ask for money. Anybody? That thing where we do. Well, we have a thing. Patreon. That's it. Patreon. I forgot it because I don't mention it a lot. But if you guys want to donate, please do. Keep the lights on in the train room. Not my train room. I pay my electric bill, but keep the thing going. No easy way to ask for money, right? No. But, we do have a Patreon page. So if you guys want to, basically, Pass the plate, soft money only, Lynn McCurdy says. I know when I was in church, I used to use double-sided tape on my finger, and I would, pretend I was. That's another story for another time. That was my past self. Anyway, before we get started, just want to. Did I cover everything? Yeah, I think I did. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in this special guest. Just before I do that, though, I just want to let you know that it was a long time coming. She was she's a long time listener. She's a long time avid watcher of the show, and kept badgering to get her on and get her on and get her on and get her on, and then finally she, after most persistent and my charming ways, she said, "Yes, absolutely, I'd love to come on." So without further ado, let's get her in the room, because she's in the green room, and I don't know. She wasn't too crazy about the sushi platter that we left. She said it was glowing in the dark. So I don't know. So let us bring in Tina Marie Caouette. Tina.
Hey, listen, let's tell them what it is. Your check cleared. That's why I'm here.
Well, that was what I was gonna say, but I didn't know if you really,
This is Vegas, baby. Your check's still clear. We don't appear.
No, that's yeah.
And I'm used to real buffets. What you have in the green room here, let me tell you something. A half-eaten bagel, a piece of chicken that I don't know how long it's been there. It was green, and there was no salad, and I'm a vegetarian. A little disappointed, Bill. A little disappointed.
Well, how was the sushi? Was the sushi?
No, that looked like from Fukushima. That's what it looked like. I wasn't going to touch that. Yeah, no.
It was glowing. Was it glowing?
Yeah. I actually, at one point, I think I saw it move across the plate.
Oh.
Yeah, that was kind of a red flag for me. Those little red flags you learn in Vegas if you go to the buffets, what not to eat. So.
Yeah, kind of. I have to, ever since John went on vacation, we've had a lax in protocol around here. So I do apologize for that, Tina, and we will try to get our game together and bring our status up a little, because we here at Model Railroading, we strive for mediocrity.
Oh, come on! Listen,
and then if we get above,
to be here.
But if we get like tonight, we've gotten above mediocrity, and we really just don't know how to handle that. So it's glad that you came upon this show.
I don't do a lot of interviews, partly because of my busy schedule with my network.
Right.
But I've been a fan of your show I remember calling Wayne when you were on for a few weeks. I'm like, is he okay? I was really concerned because I enjoy your interview style and way. And so when you asked, it was like, okay, let me work a few things out because I don't do video. I don't, we do here in the studio a lot of audio. So I'm like, and I'm not one to be on camera a lot. I mean, I started the YouTube channel just because people had asked me to do it.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, let me see. That's my background. I have a background in TV radio. So I'm like, yeah, all right, we'll do it. And it actually, I wouldn't say it has taken off, but to be honest with you, I think I'm like at 760 followers or something like that. I don't get caught up in those numbers. I honestly thought, I'm like, if I even get 50 people to watch what I do.
I know exactly what you're saying.
I'm opening a bottle of wine. So needless to say, we're at 760 and I'm an alcoholic now. So.
Hi, my name is Tina, and
I'll be here all night trying to deal.
Yeah. Yeah, going right to the rooms afterwards. Hi, I'm Tina. I'm an alcoholic.
That's
due
right.
to the fact that, welcome, Tina. And,
hey, listen, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not a quitter.
There you go. That's what I like, your spirit, kiddo. But first, thank you so very, very much for saying yes to the interview, and thank you so much. Long-time viewer, first-time guest, and I am thrilled that when you said yes, and we worked out the and worked out the details of when you were coming on, and I had mentioned it to the guys on the MRL staff. They were like, "Oh, when do we what date? I'm not gonna. I was supposed to get a colonoscopy. I'm canceling it. I'm gonna be home. I want to stay. I want to watch. I was supposed to go for a root canal." John Arthur just said, "Just keep up the great modeling, and we'll follow right along."
Oh, thanks, John. I love John's work, by the way.
John, yes,
yeah, his work is phenomenal.
John Arthur is John is a really nice guy. I got John. John was on the show, you know.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Since launching the YouTube channel, because for the longest time, I mean, I've been in the hobby for 30 plus years. I don't know, more than that, maybe. I'm not. I'm old, but I didn't really publicly talk about it. I mean, it was just one of those things. I mean, people knew I did it. My friends, some of them didn't know I did it, but I had a small following of people in the community that I did projects for and stuff like that. And and it was great. But I never really was out there. And I've seen all these people on YouTube. I followed quite a few people. I probably followed 700-800 people on YouTube, and I just enjoyed the work. They're very inspiring to me. I mean, that's one of my tagline is inspired realism starts here, and I get inspired by so many people on YouTube. So
sure.
That's nice.
Have you ever watched the what is his Historical Railroad?
Yes.
Don G and his father.
Yeah. Yes.
They're out of Reno, Nevada.
And you know what? I've not been to the one. There's a museum up in, oh God, I'm trying to remember, Ely, I think it is. It's a beautiful museum. And I was scheduled to go last year. I was going to go on their astronomy tour, which is usually runs from like July to like September or something like that, or May to September. And you go out at night, they give you like champagne and stuff. You take a nice train ride. And then there's an astronomy club that sets up their telescopes. And you go out like in the middle of nowhere and you get to see the Milky Way. And I was supposed to do that, of course, when COVID hit. So that just never happened. Damn it. Damn it, I said the C word. We're in trouble now.
Yeah, now they're going to shut us down.
They're going to shut us down. We said the C word. Oh, no.
See, have you followed John Arthur? I only bring John Arthur up because I saw John Arthur, and I have to tell you this story. When I reached out to John, John's first, when we talked on the phone, and I don't mean to embarrass you, John, but when we got on the phone, John was like, after we talked, he was like, why would you want me on your show? I'm just doing this hobby and I'm new to it and nobody knows me. And I said to him, are you having fun doing this? And he said, yes. I said, well, then you're the guy I want. Now, John came on the show. Great interview, I thought. Great tour of his layout. And then I happened to last month, I think it was last month, I perusing the old YouTube, and I came across a live show that was being done by the Trained Freak, and he had John Arthur on as his guest. And John was like hitting them out of the park, man. That no matter what the Trained Freak threw at him, slider, inside curve, a floater, John was just knocking it right out, knocking the ball right out. And I said to myself, look at this. Look at this guy. He's like really on top of his game. And he's like, he came from that position. It had nothing to do with me. I had no influence. I did not. I don't take no credit for this. But there's a guy, John Arthur, and John 2618, another guy from Florida, who are absolutely, once they it's that hurdle that we got to get over, that my stuff isn't that good. I'm not that, the big guys are better. Well, how do you think the big guys got started? The big guys started like everybody else. And the fact that John was, to Trained Freak says John was a lot of fun to interview. Absolutely, he should be. But getting into that, Tina, now you say you've been in the hobby, the model railroading hobby, for over 30 years. When did the genesis of your enthusiasm start?
Well, when I was a kid, I had an uncle who was an expert carpenter. And I grew up in a small town in New England. We actually used to have a Boston and Maine that used to run right through the center of town. In fact, it literally ran right behind my grandmother's house, basically. And, as there wasn't much to do in the small town, you used to go out, watch the trains, put pennies on the rail, all that wonderful stuff. But my uncle was really big into trains. And I want to think, my grandmother was one of those equiots of the family where she didn't believe. Yeah.
Did you just use
big word.
You did,
Yeah.
just so that we got this right out there. The biggest word I know is delicatessen and farming.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'll keep it in small words. So anyway, she believed, she was a true believer that granddaughters and grandsons, regardless, should learn everything.
Smart woman.
Yeah. So what we had is my my uncle's a carpenter. My other uncle worked electronics, automotives, and then my grandmother. So all us kids, grandkids, grandsons, granddaughter, didn't matter. You learned how to cook. You learned how to do automotive stuff. You learned how to do basic carpentry with my uncle.
Right.
Everybody learned. I mean, my brother crochets. I mean, I can't do it, but my brother crochets. It's something he was able to do. So my uncle had a really nice train layout, and he had the Burlington North, which was, really huge. And he had a big layout up in his garage. And all us kids used to hang out there. And, and this was back in the late 70s, early 80s. So the trains were like a lot different than they are now. Everything was not DCC, it was all ACC, all with the selectors, he had multiple power packs, everything. It was crazy. But he let us run the trains. And I really enjoyed it. And I just, it was something I don't know, there was something magical about it. I just felt like this creativity of being able to create this mini little world that from your imagination was just very special. And you could take either a era of time, which some people do unbelievably, or people just make a fictitious railroad. And I always just appeal to that. And I'll never forget the day I was 13 years old. And for my birthday, I came home. And back in New England, everybody had basements, basically. And my uncle had came up and built this really nice L-shaped table for me to build a layout on. And for years, I toyed around, I played, I collect everything from N scale to HO. I would go to, flea markets, anywhere. I mean, I just went crazy. And then as I get older, I really started collecting a lot. I bought a house, didn't really have a lot of room, so I switched to N scale. Then when my son was born in 2004. And oh my God, my son got into Thomas the Tank. And that was like, you can't take somebody who loves trains and have a kid that goes, Mommy, I want to play with trains. I was like, oh my God, we had Thomas the Tank everywhere. I mean, you came over to the house, you were probably going to step on a Thomas the Tank somewhere. Okay? They were all over the house. We had track everywhere. We would go to Eddyville Railroad. I couldn't get him to leave if Thomas was there. Then I moved out here to Vegas, and it was the same thing. We have a beautiful railroad museum in Boulder City. And for his birthday, I got him to ride in the engine, blowing the horn, all this stuff with a Union Pacific. And I get to ride up there. I get to ride up front with him. I mean, because I'm like, well, I can't let my son ride by himself.
Of course, I have to have adult supervision with him.
And so it wasn't really just a present for him; it was a present for me. We had absolutely we had a blast, and I just, ever since then, I really got hooked. So I started doing a lot of stuff. We had a huge Lionel set up in my garage for my son. All the MTH stuff. I mean, I'm talking everything, every possible MTH or Lionel thing, from the automatic, car wash to the theater to the fire station. I mean, it was all controlled on a board. I mean, it was just great. Yeah. And then my son got older. He's now 17, and he got interested in, girls and his music. And, so I said, well, you know what? I'm getting rid of your Lionel set.
Okay.
And I'm going to make my own. And I started with 2 little 5-foot sections, little modules, because my thing was, I didn't want anything permanent. This was me going to be my playground, my chance to work on some different things that I'd not get a chance to work on for the longest time.
Right.
Whether it's wiring, scenery, and it just built into where now I have like 13 modules in my garage. It's 16 by 14. And within the next year or two, I'll probably have a lot of this, a lot of it done, and then I'll sell it, like I've done with a lot of my layouts, because eventually I want to get and build a house with a basement and have a really big, 20, 30 foot by 30 foot permanent layout, double layer. So, I mean, I have grand schemes of what I want, but right now this is kind of my play thing. I get to kind of play with all kinds of different stuff. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Now, your history with your uncle and getting involved in that, and that's where your love of the railroad, model railroading, got, because it encompassed a lot of variant situations such as scenery, electronics,
Yeah.
track laying, troubleshooting, whatever. What is one of the things that you've, like, what is it, the story that you want to tell? I mean, basically, what is it that you
Well, with
look
my
at?
with my uncle, I learned a lot of expertise carpentry skills. I mean, when I had my house in New England, I literally built my basement myself. Everything from putting the sheetrock up, the suspended ceiling, everything. Um, so learning those skills, I don't think people understand how they really help in model railroading when you're designing and building. Uh, Expertise carpentry skills, and I watch some of the layouts people have and some of the wonderful bench work they have. I admire that. Now for most people, they just kind of look at it, yeah, it's bench work, get onto the tracks, I want to see the trains, I want, but a lot of people don't get to see that because it's hidden behind all the scenery. And I think when you look
That's
at
very
bench,
true.
when you look at the bench work, people who do it really, really well, they plan ahead exactly how they want to do it, and there is a special skill and a gift with that.
I have to concur with that, because when I built this the South Brooklyn layout, I was under the same thinking. My thinking was the ultimate finishing. It wasn't the beginning. It was the finishing of the track, of the scenery, of everything, and the foundation. I didn't pay much attention. That's why I brought my friend Darren Brady in, who's he's an expert carpenter, and I
Right.
remember I remember his instructions to me when
Don't
I
touch
told.
anything.
Well, it was that
And
he
don't touch
told
my tools.
he told me to go and buy the lumber. And then he did, Train Freak says benchwork is where it starts. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But my friend Darren said to me, buy the lumber and store it in the room, and I'll see you in a month.
Yes.
And I was like, no, dude, I want to do this like tomorrow. If I get the lumber on Monday, I want to start this on Wednesday. And he said, Bill, I'll see you in a month. Let's let the lumber just sit there in the room and don't do anything. Do whatever else you want to do to the room, paint it, get it ready, and then we'll come. And then when he came, the bench work, it needed the corner sides here had to come out 11 inches, right? Now, see, I'm a novice at this, so it had to come out 11 inches. So I cut a piece board 11 inches. And he said, no, you're not figuring the architectural design of the wood. The wood is a half inch. You got to add that in. So you can't cut 11, because then you'll have 11 and a half
Yes.
protruding, and it will throw off your whole. And I'll tell you how meticulous he was. When we came around the room, we built the outside, and he came into the closet. I have a walk-in closet here, 4x4 closet. We came around, and he said, your wall on the inside closet to the left is off a quarter of an inch. So my response was, well, let's just build it. So he built the rest of the thing. And then the next day he came back and he said, I was up all night thinking about that. And he tore out the closet. He tore it out, all the bench work. And then he tore the wall down, took the wall out, and replaced all the studs.
Yeah.
And then he showed me where it was. And one of the studs were bowed, and they didn't do it. They bowed it out.
Right.
And he says it could have been there like that, but exactly right. You're exactly right. Ralph Renzetti says, but the bench work does not have to support a 1970 Buick, which absolutely, like.
Well, yeah. Well, let me address that, because no, it doesn't. But if you are having let's say, a 2-level layout, and you need to get up on that second level, right? And you have it deeper than, let's say, 16 inches or 18 inches. That needs to be able to support your weight.
Yeah.
So you have to keep that in mind if you have to get out and crawl up or get up on top of it or whatever and stuff. I've watched many people who have built layouts not thinking that in mind, and that then all of a sudden down the line they need to get on that for whatever reason, and all of a sudden, like, well, how am I going to do that? I've got to get a ladder. I'm going to do it this way. I can't do this. So you have to kind of keep that in mind for certain things. Now you're right. It doesn't have to be super, super heavy. And I think some people do overdo it.
Overkill.
But at the same, there is overkill. But at the same time, if you're building a permanent layout, I think it's okay. Although nowadays with wood prices, people are going to skimp as much as they can. Exactly. I went today to pick up some for a project I'm working on, and I was like, okay, I had to take out a second mortgage on the house to buy the wood.
Yeah, exactly right. Ralph says, like it's like he said, the Benchwork does not have to support a 70 Buick. Lynn McCurdy says, yeah, but Ralph, it may have to support a VW.
Yeah, or somebody with a somebody who's put on an extra few pounds.
Yeah, well, that's what John Arthur says. He says some of us are approaching the weight of a 1970 Buick. Unfortunately, yeah, it's called COVID. It's called COVID-15.
Yes,
you know, so
that's putting it mildly. Yeah, COVID-15.
Yes, yes. But so now that you have you're in Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm.
You moved from
New England, got sick of the snow, came out here to where it's 110 degrees. So I love it.
It's a dry heat. It's a different type of heat.
It is. I try to explain to people that it's a dry heat, but some people don't like it. I love it. Yeah, hot is hot. I like it. But no, it is nice. And one of the things that I was very fortunate enough over the last probably 2 years is I've met some of the guys that have layouts out here in the Las Vegas area. And I want to start trying to document some of them because they don't have YouTube channels. Most of them are not tech savvy. And I think there's a real problem in this industry of people who have getting up there in age who have incredible layouts around the country, but they're not being documented. And then they pass away and their spouse just says, well, there's nothing to this, and just rips it all out and it's gone. It's forgotten forever. Yeah. And I think we need to document a lot of these layouts a lot more. We need to try to convince some of these old timers, hey, let us come in and document it. Some of them don't. They're so private. It's just their own little world. And I totally get that. I'm the same way. But at the same time, it should be nice to document it. And somebody could go back and look back and say, God, this guy's got incredible talent, but nobody knew who he was. Or she's got incredible talent. Nobody knew who she was.
Right. Exactly.
We need to do that. And I think with YouTube, with technology, we need to try to encourage a lot more of that. And I think as we encourage it, we need to encourage people to be very supportive, no matter what skill level, no matter what. There's a lot of people, I said this on one of my YouTube videos, and I took a lot of heat for it, but I stand by it. Rivet counters, I love you. You're unbelievable at what you do, but back off the people who are not rivet counters. Let them do their layout the way they want to do their layout. Let them have fun. If they're having fun, this is what the hobby's supposed to be. We're not going to bring new blood in if we set the bar so high that people coming in are afraid they'll never reach the bar and want nothing to do with the hobby. We need to embrace people and say, listen, none of us were at this level we are now. We were all fumbling around trying to make a tree, trying to build a building, gluing it all together wrong, dropping engines on the floor, or whatever. I mean, we've all done that. And I think we need to encourage a lot more of these people coming in, no matter what skill level they are. Listen, if they're having fun and enjoying it, they're taking a risk and saying, listen, I'm going to put my channel out there. I'm going to put my layout out there, no matter what level it is. Let's encourage them. Let's not nitpick things apart. And listen, there are some guys that I see constantly who leave comments on these other channels, and they're like, well, that boxcar doesn't really go with that engine or that era or what. Who cares? Maybe that's all he can afford. Maybe maybe it's a gift from his grandfather. You don't know the history behind that. So pardon my French, shut up. We need to we just need to encourage.
Oh no, I thought my wife came to the door when you said that. So.
I'm very passionate about this hobby. I want to see it expand. I want to see more people to come into it. I want to see younger generation. I want to see more women in the field. We don't have enough women in the field in this hobby. And it's not that we don't. There are plenty of women model railroaders. There are plenty of them. But a lot of them are very, very afraid of putting their content out on YouTube or social media because, let's face it, we talked about this the other night, Bill. This is a very male-dominated hobby. People don't like to hear that. And if you don't want to hear it, then you're part of the problem.
Huh?
I'll say it. That's if you don't want to hear it, it is. And we have some incredibly talented women in this field that you would think would be supported by many of the major companies. You might think that some of the bigger organizations would back some of these ladies, and they don't, because they're the wrong gender. And to me, that is something I've seen over the last year, probably 2 years. I've definitely seen it the last year since I launched my channel. And, for me, I've dealt with it. I personally don't care. It's like, you don't like my channel because I'm a female? Well, there's a door. Don't let it hit your butt on the way out. I'm just going to still make my content, and people like it, they like it. And we need to be very supportive of that. And we need to be very supportive of really encouraging some of the younger women who might like the hobby. Said I grew up, thank God, with a grandmother, an uncle, and a family who were just like, oh, you like trains? Well, great. Don't go play with Barbie. Go play with your trains. That's okay. And I think we need to encourage that more. I think we need to get rid of the stereotype that trains are just for guys, because you know what? They're not.
I have to agree with you 100%. It is a male-dominated hobby. It always has been. It always most likely will be. But with that said, there's women such as yourself. There's Kathy Millette. Yeah. There's Fran Miles. Fran Hale, I mean Miles' wife, Fran, who's an exceptional modeler and train. And I'm sure that there are countless. I saw a video the other day of it was a thing called "Don't Judge a Drummer by Its Cover," and basically what it was an older woman in her late 60s, early 70s, and she would go around and saying she'd go to auditions, and like the guy'd be playing the guitar, and she'd walk in and he'd say, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, I was playing the guitar too loud. I hope it didn't offend you." And he goes, "No, I'm here for the audition for the drummer." And the guy would look at her like, what are you doing here? She went to church and she says, "Yeah, I'm here to try out for the worship band." And then the last 5 minutes, she sits down at this drum set, this kit that she has, and she starts banging out heavy metal, and you see her like boom, boom. And at the end of the video, she turns to the camera and she says, don't judge a book by its cover. I'm a drummer."
Right.
No matter what they look like, I'm a drummer, so it doesn't matter if you're male, female.
Well, yeah, and one of the things that used to disappoint me, I used to go to some of these different
not to interrupt you, but and Ralph made a good point. He says Fran is a master model railroader from she has a certificate.
That's nice. And the thing is, if you go to a lot of these conventions, these train shows, one of the things that I've griped about for years, and it just kind of fell on deaf ears, was the fact that we don't have a lot of women being represented when there's these conferences. They're not asked to speak at events. They're not asked to show off what they can do. It's always the guys giving the lectures on how to do stuff. And it would be nice to see a better cross section. And I would say I would go a step further, not even just adding some women, but maybe finding a way to add some of the younger generation, some of the kids who are really talented. There are some kids I have found on YouTube that have incredible channels. They're trying to do something really good. Why don't we get them involved doing some of these conferences as well? Let's see what they can do.
Yes, I agree with you. Pastor Michael Nicodemus, I had them as a couple. He's like saying, yes, my wife Michelle did videos with me. And his wife Michelle, Pastor Nicodemus, great name for a pastor, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I remember them. They were on your show.
Yes, they were. Yes,
because we were talking about Nicodemus because he has the thing from the cartoon.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, she was very enthusiastic and very wanting to show off her work and what she was doing. So yes, Michelle was absolutely good, and I agree with you 100%. But I think it's a two-part thing there, Tina. I think that the women need to start stepping up and not let that barrier hold. I mean, like you said, you're the kind of I guess to use a male euphemism, a ballsy woman.
I come from the Northeast, and I'm a Virgo, so I'm a Type A personality. I might be on the West Coast in Vegas, but I am not like, dude, let's chill. Well, I'm not like that. I'm very Type A, and yeah,
and you're from Massachusetts.
I'm from Massachusetts.
Right.
Yeah, so
pack that car, you know.
But no, that's my thing is that, and listen, I have met some other women in this field who started YouTube channels and backed away. And they backed away basically because of some of the stuff that was going on behind the scenes.
Oh, now, well, you're always going to have the controversy. You're always, I mean, you're going to, I shouldn't say controversy. You're always going to have the drama. Mm-hmm. The drama is going to be there regardless of what and my attitude about this, and I'll throw my 2 cents in here, is drama is just part of everyday living. It's either what you choose to filter through and what is important to you. King Solomon in the scriptures says it's all vanity, vanity, vanity. That's all it is. What does it mean at the end of the day? If you're happy with what you did and what you put down, then that's all that matters. My approach to my videos is when someone says, hey, give me a thumbs up, I never say give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But what I shared this with you is, if you're going to put the thumbs down, tell me why you're putting the thumbs down.
Yeah.
You see, that's the courageous thing to do. Like, hey, I'm the guy that put the thumbs down, and this is the reason why, because I think this is what I would have done or what you could have done, without sounding like I know more than you and you more and I'm the expert and everything. But again, you know what, Tina, you just got to keep plowing through all that bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, I don't care. I mean, I said that when I started my channel and I started doing stuff, my take was, hey, if I get 5 listeners, 5 people like, great. That I don't care. But if I get more than that, even better. But I think we have a 2020 has taught us how everybody can get online and do things.
Absolutely.
And the last year, what I did notice is a lot of people were starting channels. They were starting almost networks, I guess you could call it. And the sorry guys, but a lot of you guys are like little cat fighting. It's like we should all be supporting each other regardless. But it's like, oh, one's got a show on this day, or one's got a show on this day, or this one's got this TV, or I've got 40,000 followers. I don't care. Listen, I've always said this when I've worked in radio. I've worked with big names in radio. I worked with big names in TV. We all wipe our butts the same way. You all put your pants on the same way. I don't care if you have 40 followers. I don't care if you have 5 followers. If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. Bottom line. If you're not nice to me, then you'll get the mass hole coming out.
Ralph Renzetti says the old NMRA did not help regarding youth and women. We are working on promoting both going forward. Very true. ProScale Model says to you, Tina, he says you could totally start a women's Facebook group and leave it open so all could see but support women and young girls. I agree with that, but then I think again we're taking it to the point of separation once again.
Right. And we shouldn't be, because like I said, there are many women in this field who are equal, if not better, than some of the male modelers who get a lot of recognition. I think a lot of the female modelers whenever I tell people, when I used to show people my layout pictures, the comments that would always get would be like, wow, is that your husband's layout? I'm like, no, it's mine. Right. And they're like, oh, so he laid all the track for you. You just did some of the scenery. No, I did everything.
Right.
So you try to get through that stereotype, and
it's an unfortunate. I agree with you, and I'm please forgive me for I'm not cutting you off, but I guess in a way I am, and it's not that I don't. I agree with you 100%, and. And Indian Head Valley Railroad says, I've advocated the same thing about the thumbs down for a while. Haven't had any explanation yet as to why it's being done.
I tell people, if you're going to give me a thumbs down, click it twice.
Well, yeah. Well, what's his name? I'm sorry. Who is it? The Train Freak says on a separate note, the thumbs down is still a view and a reaction to my video. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. See, those people have to understand this, because you might say, well, it's a reaction to your video, but that goes against the Facebook algorithm. So if you don't understand how Facebook algorithm works, as you start getting more down likes on your videos compared to positive likes, your videos start not being as recommended by the algorithms.
Right, exactly.
So you have to watch that. You have to be careful with that. Now, granted, I know there are some people, I laugh because there are some people, I'll put an 18-minute video out, and within the first 30 seconds, they put a thumbs down. I'm like, how the hell can you put a thumbs down? You didn't even watch the damn video.
Exactly. Well, that's a prerequisite. That's a preconceived. It was already in there once they saw it. They saw it. They saw your name or whatever. It didn't matter, and stuff, and it came. And
well, let's get off. So let's do something positive. I'm depressing now. Come on.
No, you're not depressing. You Tina. I have to admit that you bring up very, very valid points in the hobby, and I think that sometimes. I will say this as a commentary, that the hobby, since the advent of YouTube and social media platforms, has taken many. Lynn McCurdy says, just looked. Tina Marie has 760 subs, better than my 59. LOL. She needs to have 1,760 followers. Well, why stop at 1,000? Let's do 1 million. Let's not.
Well, you know what? Somebody asked me that the other day, and this is an interesting thing. So I'm going to point this out. So somebody asked me, with all these different YouTube channels you see that have like 500,000 subscribers, 1 million, what would you do if you got to that number? And I said strictly this. I said, you know what? I have lofty goals. I was asked about possibly doing a weekly show on YouTube. Well, I don't really have time for weekly. I might try it once a month. I don't know. We'll see what happens with interviews and stuff like that. But if I ever get to the point where I had, actually a money stream coming in for YouTube, and it was like we had 1 million subscribers and what some of these people pull in, one of the first things I would do, this is something I have always dreamt about. And if I could find a way to do it, I'd do it in a heartbeat, and I would run it. And that would be my life goal. Is you have the miniature over in Germany, right? Everybody talks about that incredible I mean, God, that's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't we have something to that equivalent in the United States? And I thought, well, what better place? Everything is bigger in Vegas. Let's freaking do it in Vegas. If I ever get to the point where I had that many subs and I had a huge stream of money coming in, one of the first things I would do is, basically get a building, hire a staff, and make just make it to the point where it take years to do, but equivalent to what they have over there, because we need to be better than them. We need to have the biggest, the baddest here in the United States, and what better place in Vegas where everything is bigger.
And how much more encompassing what that would be if you could do that and encompass all the railroads, Northeast, Midwest, Southwest, Southern Railroad, the Western railroads, the whole thing. It would be absolutely.
I would die if I ever got to the point that I could do that. And I think we would all strive to do that. But again, I don't get caught up in numbers. People always ask me how many. I really don't care. Some people do. They get caught up in the numbers. Even on my radio host, on my radio network, I tell them, you want the numbers, I'll give you the numbers. But don't get caught up in numbers. Numbers don't mean anything.
No,
they don't mean anything. I mean, if you have 10,000 followers, I've said this before. I watch some of these YouTube channels who brag because they've got 40, 50,000 followers. But when you go check out their videos, they have 500, 1,500 views. Well, if everybody that's following you just takes a second to look at your video, that's a view. So you have 50,000, let's say, followers, but you're getting 3,000 views at most. Well, the other 47,000 people, why are they even on your channel?
Right.
I mean, listen.
I agree with you.
And people don't understand that. So I don't. And you can buy followers and stuff. Listen, if I wanted to have 100,000 followers overnight, I could do it like that.
Yeah.
I have a computer background. I'm not going to tell you how, but there's ways. Literally, overnight, I could get 100,000. but what's the point? They're fake. They're not real. I would rather have 50 people, or like Lynn's, 760 people that interact with my videos, make comments, say something, send me pictures of their layouts. I love when people send me pictures of their layouts. I'll actually put them on my website. I have a modeler showcase on my website. And if you go to my website, people can actually go there and they can actually send pictures to me, and I'll actually put them up on my website and feature their layout.
Yeah. Dan's Modeling Railroad Journey says, Tina, are there women on YouTube that we should know about?
Well, Jenny from the UK is awesome. I love Jenny from the UK. She does a live show on Monday. I know, is it TG? I forgot his name. He has, was it Michelle that's on like once a month with him? She's really good. Like you said, Kathy. I love Kathy.
Kathy Millett.
Yeah, there was a lady called the Weathering Woman, I think, or something like that. Now, she was on for a while. She does incredible weathering, and then she disappeared. There was another girl on. Well, you know what? There was another girl on, and I felt bad for her because she was, I think, from the UK. I'm trying to remember her name. I know she was transgender. And
I think I know. Yes.
And she does her trains and all that, and she does other stuff on her show, but she really does the trains. And I remember her coming into the model railroading group on Facebook, and she took a lot of crap. And now, thank God, the admins of the page straightened some of those guys out. And I felt bad for her because she just had a passion. I don't care if you're blue, green, boy, girl, gender neutral. If you love the hobby, we should embrace everybody that loves this hobby, because that's what we have one in common. That's what we all have in common. Who cares about everything else? We love trains. We love trains. That's what we should be doing, encouraging anybody who loves trains to come into this hobby.
This person that you're talking about, I know who you're talking about, because this person was at that time. I will just briefly mention this. He would get on our channel. He came on. MRL has an after hours thing that anybody, it's on Model Railroad, it's on whereby.com/Model Railroading Live. You're more than welcome. Usually on from 10 p.m. at night to the wee hours of the morning. But this person would come on. I'm trying to be politically correct here and use the correct pronouns because I don't want to get in trouble with the YouTube or anybody else. But she transitioned from that point on, and I remember he was on as a male, and he mentioned that he was transitioning to.
Yep. And now she has a great channel.
And she has a great channel. So again, it's like everything else. What Randall Ellis wants to know, what is your website?
Website is MojaveModelRailroad.com.
Right.
So you can just let's see if I can pull it up there. Just MojaveModelRailroad.com.
Ralph Renzetti talks about Michelle Kempner from the Colorado Museum out in.
Yes, Michelle does a great job too. Yes,
she does
Michelle.
too. And Indian Head Valley Railroad also brings up Nancy Jones.
Nancy, yep, Nancy,
yep, and stuff. Yep. Now you're in the whole aspect of model railroading. Am I correct?
Yes.
And do you like to do weathering?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have videos on how weathering. I've done some where I do custom graffiti work and airbrushing. I love weathering the buildings, adding LED lights. I mean, I love even scratch building buildings. I mean, I guess I could talk about it tonight because I told you I just signed a contract today. So I actually have out here in Las Vegas, there's an attraction that's being put together backed by Lion Gates, which is a movie company. Yes, and they needed, they were looking for somebody to build a small diorama. It's like 3 feet by 6 feet, but they wanted a replica of the town, which I told them was not possible because I said it would have been about 30 feet long. You're not going to fit a small town in a 3 foot by 5 foot. But they have commissioned me to do a layout and taking aspects of this particular town. So there are some houses that I'll be scratch building, kit bashing to get what they want. I asked them, they don't want it to be down to the detail because it would cost them too much money for me to do that. but I am going to be doing this, and it's going to be featured in an attraction that's going to be out here in Vegas that people can go visit. And I'm pretty excited about that. But unfortunately, I've got a month to build it, so I'm going to be really busy over the next month. So if you go to my YouTube channel, don't see a video, you'll know why. Now, I'm hoping to get Lionsgate's approval to be able to videotape the process and be able to put it up my channel. I know they're going to have to approve certain things, whatever, because it is licensed by a movie that's out. So I'm pretty excited about doing that. But yeah, I've done all aspects. I've done some small layouts for people, big layouts. I've done DCC installation for people, and yeah.
Lynn McCurdy says, Bill.
Hi, Lynn. I love you, Lynn.
He says, are you being funny? Tina does great weathering.
Checks in the mail, Lynn. Appreciate it.
Well, Ralph Renzetti Ralph Renzetti is our resident. We call him the Mud Father. He's our weathering basic guru and stuff, and he enjoys your weathering very much. And how do you approach the weathering? I mean, do you work off prototypical photographs, and how do you approach that?
Yeah, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing it for myself, sometimes I try to copy the prototype, or maybe I want a particular look. If I'm doing it for a client, then I ask them, what do they want? Some clients want it to look just like the one that's on the rail, which is tough sometimes because, as the trains are on the rail, you get different graffiti, they paint them, renumber them. So that can fluctuate left and right depending on what you're doing for a client. But if a client wants a particular thing, I'll do it their way. If it's for my way, then I'll go off prototype photos. Sometimes I'll take like 4 or 5 different prototypes and go, okay, I like this, I like this, I like this, and I'll combine them. I did that with the CSX engine. I really weathered that one up. It's not necessarily as prototypical as it should be, but it's something that I really wanted on my layout, and so I did it that way.
And what Ralph Renzetti would like to know, and what medium do you use when you?
With the weathering, it depends. I do everything from airbrushing. I'll use oils. I'll use powders. I love the AMI powders. Chalks. The
AMI powders. Ralph is now your official. Like he'll be like, he's right now. Yeah. Right now, Ralph is in his train room. Right now, he's fist pumping. Yes.
I do like them, and same with like the Vallejo. I prefer the Vallejo paint when I airbrush.
There he goes. Double fist pump. He's giving you the root tootin' guns. I could see him right now in his room doing the root tootin'.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I could. So Train Freak has a great question here. So
yes, Tina, which era of weathering do you find more difficult, transition era or modern?
You know what? I personally love modeling the modern stuff with the graffiti. That is a challenge because graffiti. Listen, there are some guys who do incredible. John's one of them who does incredible hand graffiti. Now I do some hand, sometimes I do different techniques of stenciling, which is easier to do. I would say probably one of the toughest things that I had to do, and I'll be honest with you, I was scared to death to do, is somebody hired me to weather a big boy. Now, when you're weathering your own stuff, if you screw up, oh, well, you screw up. When you're weathering somebody else's $1,000 engine,
that's when the lawyers get involved.
I was so afraid of dropping that thing. I mean, it came in. I'm looking at. I mean, after seeing it, I want one. I don't do steam, but I'm like, oh, I so want one just because I want one. But I would say probably weathering the steam stuff. That era is so hard, I think, compared to the newer stuff, because the newer stuff, whether it's graffiti or even the weather, it can be all over the place. It doesn't have to be specific. It could be all over the place. Where when you go back to the kind of, the 1900s, well, there's definitely particular style. And listen, if somebody asks me to weather one of those, I will do it. But I would prefer to, send it off to other people who are really specialized in that, But give me the graffiti stuff and the more modern stuff. I'm there.
You're so right in that, in doing steam in different eras, because different areas. Ralph Renzetti says, Tina, let's you and I talk.
Call me, Ralph.
Yeah. Have your people call my people.
Yeah, that's right.
But different styles of steam engines, they would weather different and look different in the Northeast as composed to the West.
Correct.
And also in the South and the Southwest, so you're dealing with different. The Train Freak says, I turned down a Sound Dakota install just because it was brass and valued over 750. I know what you mean. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When it's not yours and you mess up, you can, it's like, okay, I got to start again.
Yeah, there are times when you'll do stuff. I mean, even today, I mean, I've done a lot of DCC installs. I've done a lot of weathering. But even today, when I'll do somebody's, there is a big difference when you're doing let's say a $50 box car, or you're doing a brass engine. There is a part where you just go, okay, don't let me screw this up, and you got to try to put that out of your head, because if that gets in your head, then you're not really into the what I call the artist moment. You're more worried about, I don't want to screw up, and you should never think that when you're weathering somebody else's stuff. I just kind of put on music. I kind of get into the groove of kind of what I want to do, and that's kind of how I do my weathering.
Right.
But I will say, though, a lot of the reasons why I don't like weathering the steam stuff, and again, this goes back to the rivet counter. A lot of the people who model the more modern stuff from like the 80s up, before the steam and stuff, they're a little looser, I think, in the prototype, the prototypical, this is what it has to be. When you start getting back into the steam area, a lot of the guys that model that, and let's say, bless them, I've seen some incredibly detailed stuff from that era that just, I mean, they get so detailed of the, even a newspaper on the ground is from the 40s, the 20s. Bless them, that's just awesome. But if you're going to weather one of theirs, you really better have a lot of prototype pictures you're going by, because if the smoke isn't the right color, or the dirt's off a little bit, you're going to hear about it. And so I try to stay away from those. Like I said, my breadbasket is definitely more of the modern stuff. Give me the graffiti, or give me the weathering, anything from like the 80s up. I really love doing that stuff.
Right. And on your own layout, what is it that you model in your own layout? What?
Everything.
Okay.
Well, see, with my layout, and I'll throw some pictures up and show some pictures here.
Please do.
But with my layout, I grew up in the Northeast. So I grew up with Worcester, Providence. I grew up with Boston and Maine. I grew up with Guilford. My son just loved Guilford. So I love a lot of those, CSX, Canadian Pacific, stuff like that. But then I moved out here, and you've got, Union Pacific, BNSF. So for me, I always tell people I run what makes me happy. It's my layout, so I run what makes me happy. If I see an engine and it puts a smile on my face, it's most likely going on my layout.
Okay.
I don't care what era it is. I don't care if this engine and this boxcar shouldn't run together. And then when it comes to even the layout, I grew up in New England. I really like the fall colors. So I try to incorporate a lot of the fall colors, at least in this layout. I really like the fall stuff. And,
right.
let me throw some pictures up here. Let's do this. So this is something I had been working on. Those of you that follow my layout, this is part of my lumberyard that I'm working on. And I actually scratch built this little area where there's 5 different bays, and it's supposed to represent like having some mulch, having some gravel, all this stuff here. You go to, a place and pick stuff up. So that's one of the pictures from the lumberyard. This is another view of it. Now the building here, there's 2 buildings, and each one of these buildings has 10 LEDs in it. So 11 LEDs. There's 3 in the interior, and there's 4 LED lights over the top set of walkways, and 4 LED lights over the bottom set of walkways. So each one of those has their own individual lights. And now this is one I just recently did. Now this is something I really love doing, and I wish more people would think outside the box. This building is one of those flats you pick up. It's only a 1/4 inch deep.
Right.
And what I did is I scratch built the deck that it's on. This deck comes out about 3.5 inches, and I built it to match what was on the flat.
Right.
And then I added layout. So you can get a lot of depth in a very small space.
Yes,
and I watch a lot of people put these flats, which are great, but they're flats. Like so. And one of the things I'm doing is, if you notice, over the dock and over the door, there's 2 little lights, and I'm actually going to be drilling little holes and putting LEDs in there, so it'll light up as well. I wish more people would think outside the box like that. But this is my Aurora Valley area, and again, nice. I love the fall colors. There's just something about them that's magical when the trains kind of weave their way through.
Sure.
And I have this little trailer park, and those people who know my videos know my trailer park is Starlight Starbright. It's after the space movie, The Last Starfighter. And I'm actually working on the sign that's going to match from the movie, that with the LED lights. I'm working on that as well. So this is part of the Aurora Valley. And again, this is just, it just has a really nice feel to it. I just like
it looks good. Looks very good, in fact.
And so that's a much wider part of it. And again, with the trees, these are all Scenic Express trees. Now I have a different way of doing them than most. I probably should do a tutorial on them, but I have a different way of doing them than most. And I think they come out a little bit better. And you can actually, the one thing I don't like about them is sometimes if you're looking for a bigger tree, you have to really combine 4 or 5 of these trees together. And I like to super glue them, and then I put latex over the bottom of the trunk, spray paint it, and then so you get a bigger tree. So there's little things like that you can do. Which one's this? So this is a close-up of the Aurora Valley. I love the little detail work. I mean, if you look into the scene, and I'm not even done, but if you look in the scene, you've got the dog, you've got the truck, you've got the junk, you've even got the water tie-ins, electrical tie-ins there. Now these trailers are the Woodland Scenic pre-lit trailers. Now again, if you notice the one on the right, I weathered that one up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing. I don't like things looking like they're brand new.
Brand new, yes.
Yeah, because then it just doesn't make it look as realistic. But so it's just the little details that you can do to a scene, for the garbage bags and stuff like that. I mean, just when somebody looks at your layout, when they have to look at it for long periods of time, or when they're literally looking at it 3 or 4 or 5 times and they just find a different detail they didn't see before. I love that. This is a building I recently did. This was the shipping company. I just recently did this shipping company, weathered it all up, added LED lights so the sign lights up. In fact, let me see if I can find the video. I'll see if I can find the video. That's a layout tour. Let me see if I can find the video. There it is. So this is actually what it looks like all lit up.
Nice.
So a couple LED lights. There's actually 5 LED lights in this, and all weathered up with the graffiti and everything else. And, it's stuff like that. That's just kind of, again, it's just, and we can do more. If people can go to my videos and they can see, they can see my layout. Now, coming up here, this is my swing out bridge. I hate this swing out bridge. We talked about this the other night. I ever build another layout, I am never, ever, 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 ever going to put a swing out bridge in my layout again, ever. I've done this 3 or 4 times. It swings all the way out, and it drives me crazy. I can't stand it. But we can go through just a little bit. I'll kind of fast forward because there's a lot in this video. But this is kind of like my Amtrak station. Now you'll notice down at the bottom, you'll see a Raspberry Pi screen. I am so excited. I just picked up a bunch of tablets on eBay for like next to nothing, and I'm going to use those tablets to actually interact with JMRI, and instead of having a control panel, they will be the control panel. Everything will just be touchscreen. So that's a project I was supposed to work on now, but I've got this big project I've got to do. But this is my scenic view area, and everybody has loved the way it's kind of carved out, and they can't wait to see it all weathered up. And I'm just not happy with it. I just don't think it's going to fit with what I want. And so unfortunately, like with every layout, and you just change things. You just say, you know what? I think we've all gone through and go, you know what? I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on that. And this video here is actually, I don't know, probably about 4 or 5 months old. So there is a lot more weathering that has gone on. And this is our Townsend Yard, east and west.
Lynn McCurdy wants to know, Tina, is that the locomotive I think it is?
No.
Question.
No, that's not yours, Lynn. That's not yours. That's a Scale Trains locomotive there.
Okay.
I love the detail on the Scale Trains there.
Yes, very good.
They're expensive. Now, so you can look here. This is. Let me show you. This is the lumber yard that I was showing you earlier. This is what it looked like before.
Right.
So you can just see the change.
Sure.
By adding some scenery and stuff like that.
Absolutely. The details is what makes I believe the scene come alive.
Yes.
It makes it absolutely come alive. Miles Hale is a big scene guy. He's like, go out and purchase or make your own what do you call it? What are the pallets? Make 1,000 pallets and just sprinkle them around your layout, and you'll be surprised. And he is so correct, because he designed the Kentile floor sign for me for my layout, and I have it. And Kentile floors was a big thing here in New York, in Brooklyn. It was an iconic sign, and he made it for me. And the original sign, it was supposed to be with metal, and it was going to take months and maybe even years, and then we came down to doing 3D printing, which worked out even better. But the funny thing is that I have the Binford Tool and Company plant right next to it, and it has a fire escape on it. And on the fire escape, what I did was I took some tracing paper and cut it out to little small squares and just dotted it with black ink and glued them on as though it's windblown newspaper.
Nice.
And I had friends come over from guys I grew up with, and they saw the sign and they were like, "Oh, the Kentile sign, man! I can't believe you actually made that. Looks so cool. You got to do that. You got to get me one." Mm-hmm. But the attention immediately went to the fire escape.
Yes.
They said, "Is that newspaper blown on the thing?" I said, "Yeah." They were so fascinated by that. And I was telling Miles that, and Miles says, "Now, aren't you glad that we 3D printed that sign and it only took us like 3 days to do so? Had we done the metal sign, which would have taken 6 months to a year, and they would have commented on the newspaper, you would have been so disappointed, so disappointed that they didn't look at the elaborate metal work that you had done." And he's right.
The detail stuff that's something I really love, is going back to a scene and always saying, how can I make it better? What can I add to make it better? And I think every model railroad does that. They strive for realism. I think the biggest compliment any model railroader can get is when you take a picture and you post it and people go, I had to look for a second to see if that was real or not.
Exactly.
That's the biggest compliment. And I've got a few of those over the years. And to me, that's the biggest compliment you can give any model railroader. And so if you're out there watching and you're, and you really like somebody's picture or detail, don't just like it, comment what you really like about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I agree with you, Bill. Listen, I've told people before, if you don't like something on my channel, comment on it. Be nice about it, but comment about it. Send me an email. Exactly. Send me something. You're not going to break my heart. Trust me.
No, I model the Bush Terminal out of Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and some people write to me and they say, "Well, I grew up in that neighborhood. That's not the Sun." I said, yeah, I am taking literary license with it, and I am expounding upon it and making it my own. But it's basically, the flavor is 1980s urban decay, cars, you know, abandoned on the street, on fire, tenements emptied, rubble all over the place. So yeah, I'm literally taking literary license with it and making it. It's held together by chewing gum and duct tape. So the rattier it looks and the wobblier it moves, that's my sense, that I want to give you that, sense of what you're feeling and seeing. And so far it works. So far we have Toms and Trains has come in. We haven't seen.
Hey, Tom. I love
Yeah,
Tom's channel.
I do too. Tom's Trains and Things. How you doing? And everybody else. We had some comments on the fact that everybody is a uh, graffiti lover of graffitis on the trains and stuff, but it was kind of sorted out. The most important thing, Ralph Renzetti says, is to step outside your comfort zone in order to achieve the world, or order to achieve what looks like the world. And I agree with Ralph. You do have to step outside that comfort zone and do. But that's the beauty of the hobby, is like, it may not make it may you may not, like you said, I wish more people would do this with the flats, and depending on what it is that you want to do, but do that, step outside that. It may not feel comfortable to you, but then the results of it will be,
and don't be afraid to try different things. I mean, I for every one item that I go, wow, this is a really new thing that really worked well for me, there's probably 10 things I tried that just are colossal flops. And one of the things I think I need to start doing more on my channel is I need to start showing those failures. I think we get caught up in a lot of these YouTube channels where people go, everything works perfectly. In the real world, it doesn't work perfectly. And there are some channels that do an awesome job making mistakes and have no problem showing it. And I think we need to show those mistakes, because you learn from those mistakes. If you do something and go, but at the same time, I've done mistakes that have turned out incredible, and I'm like, I gotta remember how I did that.
I gotta write that formula down.
Well, I'm like, okay, that came out pretty good. I wasn't expecting that. So we have to do that, I think, is because I think new people coming in the hobby, we all want to showcase our stuff and go, oh, listen, we're really great modelers. But sometimes for somebody new who's searching, that can be very intimidating. They can go, I am never going to be to that level. And listen, if you would have told me 30 years ago that I would have aspects of my layout that look what it is today, I'd have been like, no. But you start somewhere. You build stuff, you take it down, you don't like it, you make mistakes, and you learn from the people that have gone beforehand. And I think that's the thing, is I think all of us in this hobby who have any kind of skill, it should be an obligation of ours to foster and share our ideas with others. Don't say, hey, well, I'm great. Well, you know what? I don't want you up to my level. No, I want you to my level, because if you come up to my level of model railroading, you're going to push me to be better. And that's how it should be. And I think too many of us our secrets are some of the old guards, their secrets they don't like to share.
Well, they like to throw a blanket over themselves and
yeah. And it's like, listen, you're great. You've got great stuff. You've done some great modeling. Why don't you share some of your tips and tricks with people? And listen, before anybody sends me hate mail, I have no problem if you publish a book and you want people to pay for that. I'm okay with that. You want to put a video out, you want people to pay for it, I'm okay with that. I think that's fine.
Pay it forward, Ralph says. Ralph Renzetti.
Yeah.
Pay it forward. Absolutely.
I probably give more of my time than I probably should. But I love that. I love, I want to acknowledge, like, Lynn's in the chat room. And I got the great opportunity to go see his High Desert Modular Club up in California. And the one thing I was very, very impressed with was the way they treated everybody that came in that building. Every kid had the opportunity to go grab a toy train that they had got donated from whatever. They have all these toy trains that get donated, and the members take what they want, and then what's left, they hand out at these events. Every kid got a chance to do that. every kid some of them got a chance to grab a throttle and drive the trains.
Right.
Their group was first class, probably the nicest I've ever seen a group of people really interact with the public. It wasn't like, like some of these model railroads, and I get it. I do get with these layouts, oh, you're afraid kids are going to touch it or whatever. And I totally get that. But I've gone to some where they literally have this 4-foot barrier you can't get near. And if you even get across it, getting slapped in the knuckles with a ruler like a nun. And it's like, I'm like, well, listen, if you're that worried about somebody touching it, then you shouldn't have brought it.
Yeah. Sparky 107 says that is why a layout is never finished.
That's right.
We hope to get better, then change some of the first things that we did, like a diamond in the rough to a pearl in the sand. Yeah. That was, I have to say, Spark, that was really deep, that last.
I know.
That was existential.
I think we just end the show on that right there.
Yeah, right there. That's it. Right there. Like a diamond in the rough to a pearl in the sand. We should have that awesome. Back. Yeah, but
that's going on a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's absolutely
going on a T-shirt.
That's it. It was. Mm-hmm. But I have my granddaughters who are 10 and 13. Mm-hmm. They come in here and they go, can we go in the train room? I said, absolutely, go ahead. And my they go like, you shouldn't let them in there. They're 12 they're 10 and 13. I said, yeah. Everything in there is plastic and everything can be fixed. So, but when I come in, what I love about them is I tried to find the things that they've done. Like little Grace, who's 10, she'll move all the dogs, all the wild dogs. She'll move them around where she thinks they should be. And she's named all the dogs. There's 3 dogs. She's named them.
Yeah.
And then I see my DCC NCE equipment. Everything is always like replugged in and plugged into the double sockets. And when I inquire as to why did you do that? Well, it was just hanging down, Grandpa. So I thought maybe you didn't want it hanging down, so I plugged it in for you. I said, well, thank you very much. And then when I have them operate the trains, I went out and I bought a cheap train set and I let them operate that because they're all, I don't care how old you are.
Yeah.
Everybody who comes to this layout wants to run the train at high speed. I don't know why, but when I have that grown-ups too, when I have the grown men here and we do operations, they're like very disappointed. The new guys, they're like, is this as slow as you're going to go? We're not going to speed this up. I said, no. This is what it is. And they're like,
now on your NCE, do you have it set with the max throttle set on all your engines?
Oh yeah. But when I have for the Bachmann engines and everything else, the Bachmann engine that I use, it's a free for all for the girls. They run them right through the bumping block, and they send them off the table. When you're in the living room and you hear oh no, then you got to go inside and like, what happened? And they're like,
that's part of the hobby. I think I always tell people this. At one point in time, we were all kids. We were the same way. We loved running trains. And I think sometimes we forget this as we get older. I mean, I don't know. I call it the Peter Pan effect. I want the Peter Pan effect. I want to always be young. And for me, this is what model railroading does. And yeah, do I have an obsession with exactly that, like naming towns and areas and the dogs on the layout and the other people and that's that's Mrs. Johnson's house. Yeah.
Right.
You get caught up in your own little world. For me, this is my escape. I work a lot of hours, so this is my escape. And that's how it should be. It should be fun. It shouldn't be work. I always tell people, if anything you do is work, stop doing it. Well, it's not worth doing.
Well, here at MRL, Model Railroading Live, we're putting the F word back in model railroading.
That's right.
Fun. I don't know what everybody else was thinking.
I thought it was going to be freak, like train freak.
No. Dwight at Northern Star says, a $500 locomotive ruined on the floor by a small child? Well, then that small child needs to be reprimanded and beat about the head and neck with a broken bottle. But that's, that's not something I would condone nor I would allow anybody to do.
No.
But that's why I have the 29.95 engine in a box set so they
Yeah,
can
I
do.
mean, if you're going to have kids in your layout and you have a really nice, expensive layout, then watch them, explain to them. You don't leave them unattended, or do like you did, buy them a layout that they can do. I think. See, this is the thing we need to stop. We need to think outside the box. So if you have kids and you don't want them to touch your layout, but you want them to still have a passion or a hobby, then work with them.
Oh,
Help
absolutely.
build a small layout for them.
Well,
Build a little 4 foot by 6 foot table for them, and
right.
and give them some cheap stuff and let them play around. Let them design. Let them create their own buildings and their own scenery and all. Let them get their hands dirty. Do some
Exactly.
paper mache stuff. Let them have fun.
Well, I tell you, the transition with the older one, 13-year-old Amber, is like she had to do a diorama for school and she had to do a night scene. And she was like calling me up on the phone. Well, what should I do with this? And how should I do that? And I said, well, I'll come over Saturday and, I'll help you with it. And she was like really doing the whole paper mache thing. She says, how can we do this? And then it came time, she wanted to put stars on the background. So she was hand painting the stars, and they look like stars, they were
Nice.
stars. I said, this diorama is really a nice diorama. You got the farmhouse that we made. I gave her one of the houses and we played with it. I said, you got the grass, you got everything that you did and everything, but the stars, they don't look real. I said, you know what you can do? Let me show you. And we took a new cardboard and we painted it blue. We let it dry and the whole thing. And then I said, here, take this little paintbrush, dip it in the white paint, and then flick it. Just keep flicking. And she got the white dots and she was like, oh, those are stars. I said, yeah. I said, come on, Amber, that's
See?
the way to do it.
Right. And
so when she took it,
what we need to do with everybody.
She took it to school and she always, Amber, I love my little Amber, but she's always self-deprecating. Oh, it wasn't that good, Bill. It wasn't that good, Grandpa. It wasn't. She took it. My wife works at the school part-time as a tutor, and she comes running out and she shows me the ribbon. She got the first place. And I said, you did it. You did it. I can't believe how you did that. That's so cool.
And that's what we need to do. We need to, we need to understand that kids are kids. We got where we are because somebody at some point in time showed us what to do and what not to do, just like you did. And I think we all need to do that. Even with newbies coming into the hobby, people new coming in the hobby, there are ways to approach people and say, hey, if you do it this way, or maybe this, or I never give advice unless somebody asks for it.
Right. Well, the thing too is like Grandpa Rail says, my grandson shares the layout in the garage with me and my granddaughter. Tom's Trains and Things says my granddaughter loves running the trains when she comes here. And John Arthur says, I grew up running my grandfather's expensive O-scale. He wouldn't have it any other way, which is exactly right because, all of us are creating a memory and putting a joy in someone's heart, and as my good friend Miles Hale say, go into your train room and let the trains put a smile on your face, and that's exactly what it's about. I have it on good authority that none of us are going to get out of here alive.
Oh, I am. I'm living forever.
Well, I don't. I'd be quite honest. I don't want to live forever, but so let's make the most of what we got while we can and do the best we can and share it. I have kids that do come in and want to see the layout, and I explain to them, straight up. I explained to them. I said, listen, you have to respect the layout. Don't be just, if you want to see something, just give me a heads up and I'll show it and I'll tell you what you can and can't, and mutual respect. But I also have a neighbor that comes in every once in a while and he'll be like, so what does this do? And I'm like, what did you just do? And I just took it. Well, that was glued down. How did you take that off? Well, I just picked it up. It's a glued building. Why did you do that? Don't do that, Carl. Don't touch the stuff.
Well, yeah, but see, everything can be fixed. everything,
No, you're absolutely right, but there's boundaries.
There is, and sometimes
When you're a 58-year-old man, you don't walk into someone's layout. It's like it's a guy who's got a coin collection, and I walk in and pick up his 40,000 $50 silver dollar, and I'm tossing it. Let's see if we get heads or tails out of this. No, dude, put it down. It's that's what I'm saying. There's boundaries. We have to have boundaries.
There is. And again, I'm one that I'm just a firm believer in, to support the hobby anyway, support local hobby shops if you can, as much as you can. Support other people in the field. And, I love seeing other people's layouts. I love seeing, because I don't think there's ever a layout I've seen where I haven't looked at it and gone, God, I could use this in this way, and I've got something from it. Never. I've always seen something and going, wow, you know what? I can incorporate that. That's really cool. How'd you do that? And I get inspired. There's so many different people that post pictures, and even if it's just a simple 4x8 table, I get inspired by that, because I think of when they're just starting out and somebody's got a simple 4x8 and they're asking questions like, I just got this layout. What about, I just got this in a auction or whatever and stuff. I mean, and I just get back, it brings me back to my childhood days when I would just go around and get whatever I could. And that's how it should be. We just need to support each other, enjoy the hobby, and have fun, smile, have fun when you're too many people take this hobby. Listen, you can be serious about it. But bottom line, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then why do it?
If it's like work, quit. You got more pressure on your job than you have anywhere else. So why, if it's not something that's taking, I always say this, and when I come into my layout room, whether I'm intentionally going to work on it or not, and see if you agree with this. If there's something going on in my life, whether my wife and I are discussing something in the family or with us, and and a situation comes up, and I come into the layout room and I start doodling or just working on a project I come back out, and my wife says to me, I say to my wife, that situation that we were thinking about and talking about, I think I got something I want to share with you. And she's like, that's absolutely brilliant. That's brilliant. How did you come up with that? Because what you're doing is, I think you're going into your train room, into the hobby, whatever the hobby is that you enjoy, whether it's stamp collecting, whether it's RC cars, RC airplanes, whatever it is that your hobby is that gives you enjoyment, crocheting, whatever. It gives you that time to sit down and put your thought and time into what you're doing, and it frees you up from the constriction that was weighing down on, and all of a sudden you open up and things are being...
I mean, why pay money for therapists when you can spend that money and get a new train?
Exactly right.
My therapist is CSX.
But, Pirates of the... Yes, right. Mine is the B&O, Baltimore, Ohio. Pirates of the Model Train said, a few years ago, my son told me he was interested in a train, but didn't show it. But a few months ago, he came to me and told me he was ready to learn about model railroading. So,
Aww.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. People don't see you, they may not take that initiative, and you may not think you've made an impact, but it gets into the back of their head.
I'm hoping my son someday gets back into the hobby, and when he does, everything that I've built is his. So I really hope that's the case. And if it's not, I really hope that he takes it, puts it away for his kids.
Well, I think, first and foremost, Tina, let me say that you're a great role model, a good parent, I can tell, very well-rounded woman, and your approach to life itself is very magnanimous. I used the big word there, magnanimous, and but
listen,
I think
I've never worked a day in my life. Ever since I was 13, I've owned my own company. And although I've worked for people here and there part-time, I've always owned my own company. And I was taught at a very young age, find something you love to do, find a way to make money at it, and you'll never work a day in your life.
That's it. Amen and amen to that, sister.
That's
You
right.
got that right. You got that right. Tina, we have had an exceptional visit with you, and
Thank you.
I am so glad that you decided to come on the show and
Thank you, Bill.
be a part of. No, really, I am. You said some wonderful things about me, but I have to say, in all honesty, this show, without the guests that we have on this show who so graciously decide to enter into the realm of model railroading live and to Who's Big Bill Talking To and grace our studio, they give us more than we expect. And what they give is a lot of love, a lot of attention, and a love for the hobby. So I want to thank you first and foremost for coming on this show and for putting your fears aside and saying, hey, I didn't want to do this, but I did. And I hope this sets the bar high for you so that when others come to you and say, we may not have sushi, but we have.
Listen, they have a chocolate martini. I'm there.
You're good. You're good to go.
Good.
But it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on this.
Bill, I've said this before. I really love your show. I love your listeners, and I've met a lot of great people from your channel who have reached out to me on my channel, who I've become friends with. Lynn is one of them, John, Heath, so many from the hobby that I didn't know until I started watching your channel. So,
thank
Wayne,
you.
oh God, I could just listen. And guys, so listen, donate. Keep the show on the air. Donate.
To the Patreon thing. John2618, great show, was listening while working. John2618, another guy who I called up, and he was like, why would you want me? John and John Arthur, two guys, like, why? Because you guys are so enthusiastic. You guys are great modelers and passion. Yes. And it comes across, and you're doing so well and so good. Bill, I met Tina through your show. There we go.
Yeah, Lynn's a great guy. He's great, I've met some really great people in this hobby, and I know we kind of get off at the start of the show kind of dissing certain things, but bottom line, I've really met some great people, and I try not to let the few people who are what they are ruin it for me and stuff, because I love it. I have a passion for it, and I just want to put people have a smile on their face. I mean, I see you. I'm going to give you a hug. You're in Vegas. Call me. I'd love to meet, show you my layout, have a drink. I mean, that's, we just need to get together. If you come to Vegas, go see John at West Side Trains. John's a really great guy.
And then shoot up to Reno to see Don G and his dad.
There you go.
The historical model railroading scene.
Yeah.
They do really good. But again, thank you so very, very much for being part of this show.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And I just want to say the community, John Arthur says the community is 99% positive and awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. But I just also want to extend my apologies to Sir Rod Stewart. Again, Rod, we were supposed to have you on in the end of the show. And as you can see, we ran over. And I do apologize, Sir Rod Stewart. I know that we talked on the phone a couple of times about this, but we're going to get you in there. You're a big deal. You're a big deal in the model railroading hobby, so we want to get you in there. From all of us at Model Railroading Live, again, I want to thank Tina Marie Caouette for being on the show, for taking time out of her very, very busy schedule, working as a radio performer and doing her own show in Las Vegas. And for that, I'm greatly appreciative. And I'm also greatly appreciative of you guys out there tuning in and supplying to the Q&A here that make this show. Because if you weren't part of the show, I'd be talking to dead air. So thank you so much for being there. And to Ari McKeever, my producer/director, who's doing a fantastic job while John is on vacation. Ari, you know what, Ari? No double thumbs up. I'm going to give you the rootin' tootin' guns. I'm not going to give you the regular guns. I'm going to give you the rootin' tootin' guns because you're doing a great job out there, buddy. So my thanks to Ari McKeever. And so once again, from Model Railroading Live, Who's Big Bill talking to you? You be well, you be safe, and you be blessed. And we'll see you guys on the radio. Bye-bye.